Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of The Comic Conspiracy.
Yay!
We're back. We made it again. We're already off our regular schedule. We're recording on Monday instead of Friday. We're already off format because we're going to talk about WonderCon most of today instead of a bunch of other comic stuff. I'm sick from the con plague, and so what a fun episode this will be.
Totally fun.
Well, my name is Ryan Higgins. And my co-conspirator
is Brock Sager, otherwise known as Rhodey Brock from the Geek Box.
Hey, Brock, how's it going?
I'm here.
So, we put up a podcast last week, our very first episode.
Yes, we did.
A spin-off comic podcast from the Geek Box.
Mm-hmm.
And we got a lot of people downloading, got a lot of good feedback, bunch of reviews on iTunes, handful of emails. Maybe we'll actually read a couple of them in the next couple episodes or so.
Yeah, really works for me.
Really cool. Really happy with how much everyone has seemed to like the podcast so far. A couple of people were saying, hey, some people are not as knowledgeable about comics. We're definitely going to plan to sort of explain a lot of the stuff we talk about in a little bit of introductory detail, although there'll be probably lots of just off-the-cuff remarks of certain various events. But, yeah, hopefully, again, if you guys... something you guys want to hear or something you want us to change, definitely let us know. You can email us, thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net, and me and Brock will get back to you.
As best we can.
Yes.
Although you look like you're dying over there.
Even though I am wearing a White Lantern t-shirt, I am dying.
Well, yeah, you were wearing a Black Lantern t-shirt yesterday.
Right. We was at WonderCon all weekend.
Yes, you were.
Big San Francisco comic convention. It's owned by the guys that own the San Diego Comic Con. San Diego Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
They bought it about a decade ago, I think. It was in Oakland for a long time. They moved to San Francisco, and it's exploded. I remember when there was about 10,000 people, if that. It's about it had to be 40,000 people this weekend. It's a far cry from like San Diego. They get upwards of 250,000 people between everything. But this WonderCon is a fun convention. It's getting a little Hollywood, a little more Hollywood, but it's still a lot of comics. And yeah, a whole lot of fun. I was out way too late every night.
Well, it was also your birthday weekend.
It was. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's me.
No, I went this year, and it's the 25th anniversary this year.
Right.
And this is actually my first actual kind of comic book convention that wasn't a vendor type deal. Now,
did you never go to the small one in San Jose that ran the last few years, or WonderCon when it was in Oakland, or nothing like that?
No. I never really had money or time before to go.
Yeah.
And when you go to a con, I went Sunday, which is supposed to be the lighter day, but man, it was packed.
Yes, it was.
And a lot of families. It seems to be WonderCon has become, at least on Sundays, a little more family-oriented.
Yeah, Friday is the big fanboy day with all the big panels, all the big announcements. Saturday is just the madhouse day of everyone and their brother going. Sunday is, it's a little...
It's like family day.
It is a little bit more. I'm not quite as packed, although I really couldn't tell a difference between Friday and Sunday this year. Normally Sunday,
Saturday and Sunday?
Saturday was clearly busier.
Okay.
But Friday and Sunday were both just packed. Normally Sunday for a lot of conventions is a day. You can get some deals, you can hang out. It's usually pretty slow. But obviously WonderCon's not that case because it was busy as hell on Sunday.
Yeah, I went with my girlfriend Callie and her dad.
Now, any of them ever been to any Comic Cons?
No, her father wanted to go just look at all the freaks. Basically,
a lot of freaks,
and he got his dose of women in scantily clad clothing and acting like getting daddy's attention or whatever you want to call that syndrome. But
gotta love the cosplayers.
Oh yeah, no, I wanted to go to a couple panels, but I didn't get a chance. I mainly we walked the floor, which was nice because I could take everything in. But overall, I think that majority of what was going on was what happened when you were there on Friday and Saturday, and the panels that you went to. My highlights, I've posted on my blog, but my highlights met Robert Lasardo There's a guy who played in Nip Tuck as Escobar. He's a Latino man with all these tattoos. Really cool guy. I was in Death Race. Callie, my girlfriend's freaked out by him, so I got her to take a picture with him.
Just the new Death Race?
Yeah, not the old school version. It's the Jason Statham one, not the Death Race 2, whatever. No, really nice guy. And then I guess my fanboy thing was I met Paul Levitz.
Cool.
Writer of Legion of Superheroes, which is really, really good. And he signed my Legion of Superheroes Great Darkness Saga hardcover, and he signed it Enjoy the Future, and I am going to Enjoy the Future. Yeah, well, I'll probably talk a little bit about Paul Levitz because there was a panel I went to with him, but he was an editor for DC for a long time, became president, stepped down a year or two ago, and is now taken over, just going back to writing, which is he was known for writing a lot of really good books, especially back in the late 70s, early 80s, and Legion of Superheroes is one of the bigger books he wrote at that time. Great title, and great to see him back on that book because he's fantastic. Oh yeah, I picked up Legion with I guess Final Crisis' Legion of Three Worlds.
Yep,
and that was written by Jeff Johns. And so after that, they launched the Legion series that's out currently, and the Legion that's in Adventure Comics.
Right,
and I've enjoyed both of those. So I've gone back and read the Wade series, and I've picked up a couple of the 1980s Levitz series,
right? Because the Legion of Superheroes, future team. Paul Levitz wrote it during the 70s into the 80s with Keith Giffen when they launched it in 84, I believe, is when they relaunched it. I kind of went through a few different interpretations for a while. They rebooted the series a number of times, which made a lot of people mad, but they've actually brought back the original characters, and now Paul Levitz back on writing it, so it's kind of like we're throwing back to the late 70s, early 80s.
It's a good comics.
Yeah. Well, Legion's had a lot of runs. I'm actually more of a recent Legion fan.
Yeah.
It was always kind of the one section of DC I never really got into because it was in the future. And a couple years back, it was a little bit before the Legion of Superheroes cartoon started. I started to get into them a little bit more. I thought the cartoon was really fun. Jeff Johns brought the original Legion back during his run on Action Comics, and at that point, I just went crazy. And
was this all before Smallville's Legion?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just went crazy, and I started devouring everything Legion. I bought a bunch of the archives. I bought big runs of them. I got almost a complete run at this point. I'm only missing just a handful of issues from. I don't have all the original issues, but I have all the archives except for one. That goes back all the way into the mid-50s, early 50s. So, yeah, great stuff, and it's good to see Paul Levitz back writing that book. Fun alternative book to like the mainstream DC universe, but it's still superheroic. So
yeah,
I really like it.
It's good for teens, I think. My introduction for teenagers, because it's about teenage rebellion, but rebelling in a good way, so to speak. But I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's fun times.
Oh, yeah. So,
but you enjoyed your first con. We were only there for a little bit.
We got there at 11, and we stayed till I think about 3. Callie was starting to feel tired. Well, probably because she's pregnant. So
yeah.
And that's when the old Paul Levitz panel started, was at 3.
Yeah.
So we left. I had a good time. I got something signed. I picked up, the last issue of Jack of Fables. I needed to finish my run.
Nice.
I wish I would have spent a little more time looking for back issues that I needed, but overall, I think as a first experience to a con, it definitely prepares you for like what are you absolutely going to get out of a con? And if you're, for me, every year if I go again, I know that I just need to get a WonderCon t-shirt, and I don't really need to get anything else except the experience of being there and having a t-shirt saying I was there. Well,
it's funny you mentioned the back issues. WonderCon in years past really had a lot of bins and a lot of dealers that still had comics. While there was a fair amount this year, you could tell it's going down, the amount of people with back issues in comics. And if they have back issues, they tend to be Golden Age, Silver Age, real expensive stuff. And there's still a handful of booths to do. There's one big booth where they have just row upon row upon table upon table.
Yeah, it's right when you walk in.
Yeah. It was a little bit further in the back, but it's in that front center area. But they had like 3 or 4 rows of just back issues. They're all $3 a piece, I think. And I could see something like that working where you have a massive selection. But anyone with just one table and books, you just, unless it's old stuff, you just don't see it anymore.
Old stuff are just all keys.
Yeah. I mean, you get the guys with the variants, but I mean, I would say compared to last year, I mean, I don't have any specific numbers, but I mean, I would say maybe 25% less booths with comics. It just seemed like there was maybe only 20, maybe 15 or 20 that were specifically for comics.
Yeah, a lot of them seemed cross between toys and comics and
I'm not talking Marvel, DC, IDW. I'm not talking those booths. I mean, I'm talking dealers with back issues.
Yeah, like shops and vendors.
Right. A lot less than previous. Definitely less than previous years. But with WonderCon going the Comic-Con way, that's where we'll see more of that. So. But, yeah.
But the big news, which came out on Friday, which you were privy to.
Well, Friday was, WonderCon, it's weird. WonderCon never gets, they generally don't get the big news story. WonderCon sort of, not always the start of the con. It used to be the start of the con year because they used to have it in February, but now they moved to April. So there's a few different things.
It's like the teaser con.
A little bit, but they never had a ton of stuff. Oh, this is in the Moscone Center in San Francisco. I don't think we actually mentioned where it was. It's been there for about a decade now, so great building, really big. Hey, air conditioning worked this year. It was.
Oh, I wouldn't have known.
I mean, last year I remember it being pretty bad. This year they cranked that AC, so that was good because it was a hot weekend in San Francisco.
It was Friday. It was warm.
It's hot for San Francisco.
Yeah, well, it's hot for San Francisco. It was warm.
75 and you bust out the shorts and the swimming trunks in San Francisco,
or scantily clad Power Girls and Bad Girls and Harley Quinns.
There were some good and bad costumes this year.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you can poke around. Our friend Mike Cruz, who's a former geek boxer, I saw his posts on One Up. They took pictures of a bunch of the cosplayers. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was fun. But Friday. Friday was a big day for DC specifically. Well, I should actually say Marvel was at WonderCon this year, and Marvel hasn't had an official booth there again in over a decade, I think, since they moved to San Francisco. There was some big blowout between Marvel and the guys that run WonderCon and San Diego, mm-hmm. and they pulled out, so people would show up, but there wasn't actually an official booth. But this year they had a real booth, which was pretty much mobbed the whole time.
They were giving away free crap.
Well,
there was a guy standing on stage and some DJ playing music, and they were throwing stuff at the crowd.
Oh yeah, I mean they were giving away stuff, and you could buy like a Giants X-Men cover. They had like a special variant cover with like X-Men holding the trophy for the Giants from last year. It's cool stuff, but I didn't really hit up any of the Marvel panels this year. As people probably know, I'm a pretty big DC fan, and DC had a ton of stuff going on this weekend. It kind of interfered with a lot of the Marvel stuff, so I was like, I'll go to the DC stuff. But, I mean, Friday, you could not walk 5 feet. You could not walk 5 inches without running into someone in a Green Lantern t-shirt. Friday, every room was just full of green. Everyone had Green Lantern t-shirts because they had...
Why didn't you take a picture?
I took a handful of pictures.
But you didn't take a picture of the sea of green?
There was a lot of them. I mean, it wasn't like... Obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there was a hell of a lot of people. I would say there were more people in Green Lantern and Green Lantern-related t-shirts than there were any other Marvel and DC property combined.
Yeah.
There were so many Green Lantern t-shirts.
Did you wear a Green Lantern t-shirt?
Of course. Of course. Everyone did. They had a Green Lantern panel, first they had a DC Universe panel, which they just talked about a bunch of the DC comics that were coming up. A lot of these panels, there's not much they can really say. They're like, stuff is going to happen in the future and we can't talk about it. Nah. There's this one guy, God, I wish you met this guy. I want to take you to a panel so you can see this guy. He's this permanently stoned Asian guy who just asks the most ridiculous questions, and he's like, I think he's totally oblivious to what's going on around him, and everyone laughing at him during these cons, because it's just like, people ask dumb questions at cons, but this was at panels at cons, but this guy specifically, just every year when I hear his voice, I just go, it's this guy again. He was asking something about why the Spectre who's one of DC's big, like, godlike characters, and the Anti-Monitor, who's one of DC's big, like, villainous god characters, why they're getting punked and why they're being thrown around and treated like a bunch of babies recently. And everyone on the panel's like, I don't fucking know. Like, why? Like, what kind of? Don't ask me this dumb question.
Well, like, again, you need to take pictures of this guy. You need to, we need to get this guy's name.
Oh, I'm sure there's footage of him online. It's just every year. I mean, he usually gets a big laugh, but I'm not sure if people are laughing at him or
laughing with him.
The panel, like, usually retorts somehow and makes people laugh at the dumb questions.
He could be a plant.
That's a really bad plant if it is, because people hate him. Well, at least everyone I know hates him.
Hey, bad publicity is still good publicity.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But then I had a Green Lantern panel after that with Jeff Johns, which was pretty cool. I mean, again, they couldn't talk a lot. I asked a question, which is fun.
Well, he recognized you.
Yeah, sure. We had Jeff Johns here for a signing a couple years back, and I've kept in contact with him. He's a super nice guy. And he was like, "Hey, Ryan," as I asked the question. I was like, kind of threw me off guard a little bit, but
you're like the red shirted World of Warcraft kid.
Basically, yeah. No, not quite as awesome as him, but anyone reading Green Lantern recently? In this last issue, was the last issue?
It was the last issue. It was the first time you see the Guardians talking in the issue. They mention the first Lantern. Right.
So in the Green Lantern books, right now, I mean, there's all the different Green Lantern Corps and the Sinestro Corps and all the different lanterns, and they're talking. Actually, there's going to be a number of characters in the movie, and it seems like the current arc is sort of playing up some of the characters that are going to be in the Green Lantern movie, and one of them is Krona, who is an old Green Lantern villain, and he was a big part of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is one of DC's big series back in the 80s. And so I totally want to do a Green Lantern episode, like right before the movie hits, to kind of get a lot of this out of the way. So we'll go into this more later in a couple weeks. But they basically say, we've had all these former powerful allies that have left us. Sinestro, who was a Green Lantern who turned bad, Krona, and the First Lantern, and there's no other talk about that. So I was like, First Lantern, what the hell? And I was talking with a friend Seth, who we came up with, and he was like, I was like, ask about the First Lantern. He's like, no, you go ask. And I'm like, all right. So, but yeah, we're going to see the First Lantern soon, according to Jeff Johns, which soon always means. Oh, he said sooner rather than later, so I actually hope it'll be in the next couple issues.
Hey, it might be the White Lantern.
Could be. I don't know.
Because with Brightest Day winding down 2 more issues?
Right, well, Brightest Day, I mean, that's the big Green Lantern book that's happening right now, after Blackest Night, which is their big event book. There's only 2 issues left in the series, and there's kind of been this mystery of there's a White Lantern, and this is kind of sort of saying, who is going to take over this White Lantern, or what is going to happen to this White Lantern, and this upcoming Wednesday, we're supposed to find out with issue 23, and the 24 is the last issue, and that kicks off into a whole other storyline. So, yeah, it could be. I have no idea. I mean, that'd be kind of neat, but they haven't. I have no idea. So
be on the lookout for the First Lantern.
Yeah.
No, is that the first Green Lantern?
Just the First Lantern.
Yeah.
So.
See? I'm thinking white.
Could be.
Because the second Lantern was death.
Well, then it was black, and then the white came. And the whole history of how all these different colors came is that everything was black, and you had the black energy, and the white light fractured that black, and so that became like the spectrum, and that's where all the lantern colors come from. So the first would be black, technically.
True.
So we'll see. We'll get into this a lot more when we do our Green Lantern episode. We will. Green Lantern's out.
We'll have the reading order for all of you to read if you want to partake in the reading, because obviously we will be rereading them.
I think it's out June 17th, if I remember the date.
June 17th is the release date for the movie.
We'll do an episode, Green Lantern episode.
We'll do the Green Lantern comic episode before the Green Lantern movie episode.
Primer, get you into this.
But speaking about the Green Lantern movie, Mr. 11 Minutes.
Well, right. So they had the DC panel and the Green Lantern panel, and then they had the Green Lantern movie panel after that. Now, a lot of people have been saying, hey, that first trailer that they did, if you go on Apple site or you go on YouTube, you can look up the first Green Lantern trailer. This came out, 6 months ago, 4 months ago, or something like that?
Yeah. Sounds about right.
And it looked okay. I mean, it looked good. I liked it.
No, I enjoyed the first trailer. The first trailer gave you kind of a glimpse of what was going to happen. It was more Ryan Reynolds funny,
right?
Than it was Green Lantern lore, so to speak.
Sure.
But the new trailer.
Well, the thing with that first trailer too, especially, it was well before they finished a lot of the effects.
Yeah.
They had a couple key scenes in there, real quick effects, but this was they like to call the human trailer. Mm-hmm. You knew there was going to be an alien trailer at some point. You knew there was going to be that Star Wars cantina scene, a bunch of aliens standing around, all the fanboys like me going, there's him, and there's him, and there's that, and there's this, and there's that. It delivered like 1,000-fold at this Green Lantern movie panel. So they started the panel with it felt like it lasted for like 4 hours. It lasted, I think, about 11 or 12 minutes.
It was the footage at WonderCon was 11 minutes long.
Is that what it was?
It was about 11 minutes long.
Yeah, so they showed 11 minutes of the movie. It was about 3 or 4 minutes straight, another about 4 or 5 minutes straight scene, and then they had kind of a montage clip at the end, which there's a 4-minute version of what we saw on the Apple site and online. You can see that. So we saw it basically. It's all those scenes just played out straight with this stuff missing in between.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, if you were not blown away by this stuff, no. I understand the trailer kind of version, the 2-minute version or whatever. I understand people, or the 4-minute version. People be like, "Oh, it's just a trailer. They cut this up." No, trust me. I saw 11 minutes of it, so I saw roughly 3 times as much as what's in that. And the stuff they cut is just as impressive. There's a couple little scenes of Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. But I think, you look, Hal Jordan was a dickhead test pilot who thought he was the cock of the walk, right? He's sleeping with women. He's all, he's all pompous about himself. He gets this ring, and this is the classic hero story, if he has to become a hero. I think by the end of the movie, we'll see a little less of that Ryan Reynolds humor thrown in. He'll be a little more. He will become the hero that Green Lantern is as the movie goes on. So there's a shot where he first gets there, and you see him, and he first gets to Oa, which is the home planet of the Green Lantern.
Which sounds a lot better than how I used to say it.
Oa.
Oa. Oa.
Yeah, Oa. Oh, there's actually another thing too. There's one of the aliens in the Green Lantern Corps. One of my favorite characters is named Tomar Ray. He's like a bird-like guy. He'll play a pretty big part in the movie. In the animated movie, they pronounced it Tomar Ree because it's spelled R-E. So they pronounced it Tomar Ree in the animated movie, and I was like, isn't it Tomar Ray? Oh, whatever. I guess it's Tomar Ree. They wouldn't have screwed up. But in the trailer, they say Tomar Ree.
They say Tomar Ray. Normally, if you're going to end like Ray, like Stephen Ray is R-E-A. When you say it like that. If with an E, yeah. Right. How it sounds in the animated is probably how it's pronounced. Well, they're two separate things. So,
yeah,
do they call O-A? Oa in the other one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
It is what it is. But I was working at the shop on Saturday when you posted about the footage and on Facebook.
Yeah.
And so I watched it, and that 4 minutes is awesome.
Yeah.
I showed it to my girlfriend. She wants to see it.
Yeah.
I showed it to my brother. He wants to see it. People who are not really associated with comic books want to see this movie.
My mouth hurt. I was literally grinning from ear to ear as far as I didn't even realize I was doing it. It was just so
You were
exciting.
A kid again.
It was such an incredible shot. You see the kids running around dressed up as, all the kids dressed up as Jedi running around this convention.
Yeah, or Wolverine or Spider-Man or...
I'm going somewhere with Jedi.
Oh, okay.
Wait till next year. They'll all be in Green Lantern Corps costumes. There's no doubt in my mind. This movie looks incredible. Seriously, any of our listeners, I'm a fanboy. I'm a fanboy when it comes to this stuff and Green Lantern and Jeff Johns. So take what I say with a bit of a grain of salt. But seriously, if you haven't seen this 4 minutes yet, go check it out. If you saw the trailer and you're like, this is dumb, I think this is going to change your mind. This could be an episode 2 or 3 trailer where, Star Wars episode 2 where it's all bullshit and they showed every great scene in the trailer. But I can't believe it. I really don't think they will.
I think.
Well, I saw a good 5 minutes segment of a scene. They showed Abin Sur, who's the guardian of 2814, the sector in which Earth is in, that Hal Jordan becomes Green Lantern. Him escaping from Parallax, a giant fear entity that's attacking his ship. I saw the scene where he lands on Earth, and Hal Jordan goes up to him, and he gets the ring from him. And I mean, it wasn't cheesy. I mean, it was awesome. The acting was good. The special effects were good. And they're still probably working on it. I mean, it was solid. I didn't feel like the acting at all was weird. I think this first trailer just was cut a little, just not cut so great. And
well, it was cut with more of the Earth stuff, not the space stuff.
Of course. But even if you look at, there's that shot of him putting the ring up to the lantern, saying brightest day and blackest night. I mean, no one laughed. That could have been a...
They laughed after.
Well, they laughed at the first part.
Because I pledge allegiance to a lantern.
That was before it. But when he goes into the oath, that's as good as...
Well, yeah. I mean, you have a point where you laugh, and then it's boom.
Right.
You're there. You're in it. And it's a great way to deliver, especially on film. So, well, I think the one problem I had with the trailer, the 4 minute one, was it's really, really awesome. Like, really awesome. Like, I can't take my eyes off of it until the last about minute, where it's just them flashing me stuff about Hector Hammond.
Well, that's what the end of the clips were, right?
Okay.
So that's all the later half of the movie.
Yeah.
The Hector Hammond stuff, Hector Hammond's a longtime Green Lantern villain. It's kind of a goofy character, so I'm not sure how he's going to be played up in the movie, but he's basically just a crazy guy with mental powers and a giant head.
Yeah.
This guy, obviously they're not playing the giant head up quite so much in this, but then, it looks, I think what's his name, Peter Sarsgaard, is that
Peter
his name?
Sarsgaard, yeah.
Yeah, he looks good. He's going to be like the Parallax is the Emperor, Sinestro's the Darth Vader, Hammond's like the Boba Fett, I guess. He's not going to be the major villain. He's going to be the one that's kind of there for the scenes going through.
Well, that's Darth Maul.
Or sure. He'll be the Darth Maul of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
You're giving away stuff, man. Shh. Sinestro, the villain. Way to go. Smooth move.
Spoiler alert.
Late spoiler alert.
From 1960. Yeah. Guess what? The guy named Sinestro becomes a bad guy.
Bum, bum, bum.
His name is Sinestro. I
know. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah. So, was there anything else?
Absolutely incredible. Incredible trailer. And, Ryan Reynolds in person, too, hilarious. The whole line were girls just asking, Ryan, why are you so beautiful? Can I marry you? Every question was...
Did you get to ask him a question?
No.
Did you get to shake his hand?
No. They I actually did try to get a signing. They have a thing where you could pull out it's like a lottery ticket type thing. You pull out and I didn't get it. So I was whatever, I'm done. But I actually did go by the DC booth, totally not even on purpose, when he was doing the signing. And there was 1.5 billion people. I stuck my cell phone camera way up in the air and took a couple pictures. I actually got a few shots of him.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. From 10 people back.
Yeah.
But, it's cool. But then actually, right after the Green Lantern movie panel, they showed Green Lantern Emerald Knights, which is the new animated movie that's coming up. They showed the whole thing.
Well, I haven't actually watched First Flight yet. I need to go.
This is better.
Well, I haven't actually watched too much of the animated. I watched of DC animated. what was the Death of Superman? I've seen. It was okay. Crisis on Two Earths. That was good. I like that one.
Very good.
Netflix actually has a couple of them on streaming, so I've been trying to, when I have time, catch up on a couple of them, but I have not yet caught up on the Green Lantern one.
Yeah, the only two I haven't seen are the Superman Batman ones. So I
those are on Netflix.
Yeah, I got them both. I just haven't watched them yet. I don't know why. I watched all the special feature stuff. I just haven't actually watched the movies yet.
Well, I think I've been having a problem watching movies at home lately. I've been watching a lot more TV shows than movies, just because I think, I don't know, right now in my life I want more of a story than just an hour and a half, 2 hours, you know.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, but anyway, Green Lantern panel was awesome. What else was Friday?
Well, the Green Lantern, the Emerald Knights. Yeah, and Emerald Knights, again, I thought better than the first one. One of the strongest of the DC animated movies I've seen. It's done in a number of short stories, so it's Hal Jordan.
Oh, it's like Gotham Knights?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's Hal Jordan talking to Arisa, who's she's played up in this like she is when she was first originally introduced in the Green Lantern Corps, where she was like a new young Green Lantern, and she kind of took to Hal Jordan, and Hal Jordan sort of guides her through on how to become a Green Lantern. So it's him telling stories of old Green Lanterns and how Abin Sur and Sinestro met, and there's a one with Mogo, and there's actually one. Funny enough, about the first Lanterns.
What?
The first Green Lanterns.
Well, no, wait, is it Green Lanterns or is it the Manhunters?
No, this is the first Green Lanterns. Okay. So it was like before they were like officially.
Now, was this just a like preview or was it a whole movie?
No, it was the whole movie.
Oh wow!
Yeah. No, they did. WonderCon, they've premiered a bunch of these animated movies. So it was funny because they're like, I don't think these first Lanterns are the same first Lanterns that are going to be in the comic. But
no, the comic book and the animated and the movies are normally different entities. They have a similar background, but they're different stories.
Yeah.
Like, and not necessarily alternate. I guess you could just call them alternate universes.
All right.
There's the comic book universe, the TV universe, and the movie universe.
Oh, there's a ton. I mean, as long as you know who the character is, I mean, that at the end of the day is fine. You can change it whatever you want. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I mean, there's so many differences between different comic series, let alone different formats. So, but Friday, I mean, that was pretty much it. Friday. Hung out, went to a party, old school con party in a hotel room for Boom Studios, who's one of the independent comic publisher. Gave out from free comic swag. It was just for retailers, but it was pretty fun. It was fun hanging out with some fellow retailers for a little bit. And I don't do the con party thing very often, so this is.
Did you drink?
No. I had to drive home and everything. I don't really drink anyway. So.
Oh, that's going to change at the San Diego Con. I got people in place.
Yeah, we may do. I'm going down to San Diego with my girlfriend, and we're going to be there Saturday and Sunday at Comic-Con. I may see if we want to get a few people to meet up or something. That could be fun. Meet up after the con or something. Yeah. Get some
nice.
And
what's nice is we'll at least record before you go.
Well, no, I'm going down Thursday morning, so no, we won't record.
Oh, I didn't know you were going that early.
Yeah, we're going Thursday and Friday. We're going Thursday and Friday to the city, and then Saturday and Sunday to the convention.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be another Monday night recording.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we always do.
But what was I saying?
Saturday. Highlights from Saturday.
Yeah, Friday. I mean, that was pretty much your Friday. Not too much else. Saturday was the busy day. I mean, so much happening Saturday. Or so many people Saturday. Not a lot happening, which is weird. I mean, there were a handful of panels, but just, overall, just a lot. It was almost like you couldn't shop because there were so many people pushing and shoving. If you were stopped at a panel, you're stopped at a booth, you have to be in the booth, or you're just going to get pushed right on.
Yeah.
It was fun, but it was crowded. It was crowded as hell, and they actually sold out. As far as I know, they actually officially sold out Saturday, which I want to say they did last year, but this time I know they stopped selling the 3-day passes days before the convention. You could buy them online still, but they said no more 3-day passes will be available at the door, and I'm pretty sure they didn't sell any Saturday passes at the door either. I'm pretty sure they said they were officially sold out. So
I don't know. It was funny. You gave me my pass on Sunday, and it was a 3-day pass. I was like, damn it.
Yeah. I mean, we get a couple of free passes. They throw some free passes to the retail stores and stuff.
No, I definitely think I will go 2 days next year if I can, to enjoy a little bit more, like panels and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the experience of going is going to see panels, going to get, network and talk to people. I mean, what Toby was running around like a chicken with his head cut off trying to network with all the artists that he knows.
Yeah. My employee here, Toby, he's big into the art. He gets a lot of commissions and stuff, so he's really into that. And I know he's just big network of artist friends, which is cool. Which is cool because it's funny too because I would say Toby's the art guy, I'm the writer guy when at the store because Toby, the guy Sam, he's into a lot of the indie stuff. Brock, what's your?
I'm just here.
You're just here.
I can pretty much give you
a little of both.
I'm like the pop guy.
Pop guy.
I give you like the Britney Spears, Black Eyed Peas of comic books.
What?
With a little nuggets of like Bob Dylan and I guess
I don't know what that means.
Anyways, segue something else.
Yeah, Saturday. I mean, there were a handful of panels, but again, at all these big panels, we can't talk about what's happening because we don't want to spoil it. We can't answer this question because we don't want to spoil what's happening in 6 months. Are you writing another book? Oh, we can't really talk about that. I plead the fifth. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's fun to go to. Occasionally, they'll throw you a bone, but normally it's just like they can't really say much. There was one DC announcement, and there was one Marvel announcement. They were both on Saturday, I believe. Although the DC announcement may have been Friday, but between the two. DC announced a series called Retroactive, which is going to be a series of one-shots with all their major characters. There's a story written based in the 70s continuity, the 80s continuity, and 90s continuity. And they've got some of the original creators that were writing these characters during that time, or people that write in very similar fashion.
So it's like that old TV show, 50s, 60s, 70s.
What?
You don't remember those?
No.
They were like on ABC or something. That's pretty funny.
I have no idea. So they're going to have...
so we're going to have a disco Superman?
Well, it's going to be written as if the issue could have come out that day. Or that year. It is going to be within that continuity.
Drawn in that continuity,
yeah,
too?
Drawn. Okay. Well, they haven't actually announced the artist yet, but I assume drawn in that style as well. Which is fun. I like these little pet projects that they do. It's not going to be for everyone, but there's a lot of older fans, and sometimes they like that kind of retro feel.
Did anybody ask about Johns' straight-to-graphic Batman title that's coming out?
It's still in the works, they said.
Okay.
It's coming along nicely.
Oh, that means they're slightly delayed, but okay.
So is Superman Earth 2, or Superman Earth 1, Book 2.
Book 2? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, DC's done a handful of these original graphic. Well, they've done
one. I was like, they've solicited a handful.
Well, they've only solicited the one. There's a handful planned, but they've only done one. J. Michael Straczynski did All-Stars, or did Superman Earth 1.
And Shane Davis was the artist.
Yeah, and Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are doing a Batman 1. Sort of takes what if Superman became Superman today? Very similar to Marvel's Ultimate line back in the early 2000s.
And I like how they just did it straight to graphic instead of launching a brand new series from it, where it's kind of you can take, if the graphics do well, I'm like, yeah, then maybe launch, a series off of it. That's fine, but give us, giving us the graphic gives us the opportunity to really see if we're going to enjoy something like that.
Yeah. The other big Marvel announcement, I mean, they talked a little bit about X-Men Schism, which is the big X-Men crossover for this year. But they also announced Warren Ellis is going to be taking over Secret Avengers, which is one of the Avengers books. Was previously written by Ed Brubaker. Good book. The reason I like Secret Avengers is because it's a very wacky team of characters.
Yeah.
It's Nova was in it for a few issues, but he's gone. It's Steve Rogers, Captain America. Well, sorry, Steve Rogers.
Steve Rogers, leader of S.H.I.E.L.D.,
who
director
will
of
once
S.H.I.E.L.D.
again be Captain America pretty soon.
Yeah.
Who else was in Moon Knight?
Moon Knight, Sharon Carter. Black Widow.
Valkyrie.
Beast.
Beast. It was basically they took one X-Men, one Avenger, one spy, one...
agent.
What's that?
One agent.
From S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah,
which is Sharon.
They took a handful of people from a number of different pieces of the Marvel Universe and sort of threw them all together. I think that's a pretty cool idea. It's been a fun book, and I kind of like books that play a little loose and a little outside the regular continuity. Well, I mean, it's in the continuity, but it's
the regular shuffle.
Right, it's in its own sort of universe. So, and Warren Ellis, Warren Ellis is one of these guys. He wrote Transmetropolitan for DC and Vertigo. He wrote a handful of books, and he was one of my favorite writers for a long time. Had a really long run on Hellblazer.
He did Planetary, right?
Planetary Authority, right? Fantastic writer. I kind of felt like his mainstream work never really hit, though. He did a handful of mainstream titles for DC. He went over for Marvel. He did Thunderbolts for a couple of years. I actually did like his Thunderbolts. It was better than I was expecting. So it'll be interesting to see what he does on Secret Avengers. But he's kind of one of those guys where I'm never quite sure what he thinks of the superhero stuff, because he tends to. He says he doesn't like it, but then he writes the books. And he's like, I want to do my independent stuff, but then he keeps doing
a lot of independent stuff.
Well, it comes and goes. He does do a lot, but then it always goes back to Marvel, and sometimes DC. So it's sort of like, I'm kind of wondering what his.
I'll tell you what it is.
Well,
you ready?
I think it's just a good paycheck.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's the money. I mean, not knocking independent studios, they don't have the backing or the bank that Marvel or DC have. So it's really. An artist or a writer going to an independent book because they're tired of the institution of Marvel and DC, so to speak. Right.
Well, what happens a lot of times with Marvel is you don't get you're paid well, especially if you have an exclusive. You get health insurance and you get all the stuff of being an actual employee of the company. The independent books, though, you have a lot more creative control, and you own that character. Guys like Robert Kirkman does Walking Dead. I mean, he makes so much more money on Walking Dead selling 20,000 copies than he would if he wrote a 100,000-copy Avengers book or Spider-Man book. Plus, you get all the royalties and all the rights if you sell your stuff like a TV show. But the problem there is 1 out of 1,000 independent books actually turn into something good and last past 5 issues. For the most part, they tend to die out pretty quickly. A lot of it's really hard because you probably have a full-time job. You're probably not doing comics as your main line of income and main source. It's a real tough job. So I mean, and it's all paid up front. You got to pay for everything up front, and all your money comes out the back end. Whereas mainstream Marvel and DC, you're paid for your work.
Yeah.
Regard, if it sells 10,000 copies or 100,000, you're paid. I mean, obviously there's royalties, but yeah, I mean, seeing Ellis take a break, come back, take a break, come back. I mean, he probably enjoys it, and I mean, he's a good writer. I just, I'd like to see what his long-term plan is. I hope he's not only on the book for 12 issues or something.
Yeah. I enjoy Secret Avengers. With Ellis coming back, I'm probably going to stick with the book.
Yeah.
I'll stick with the 12.1 and then on to Ellis's work. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
See how it goes. So that was it for Marvel, though?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of looked through. I mean, like I said, I didn't go to the panel, so I read a few of the things. I didn't see it. There wasn't a ton of Marvel news, but there was a handful of stuff. Saturday night, though, this is where I believe I picked up the con plague. It was Saturday night. I went to Isotope Comics, which is a store up in San Francisco. Highly recommend anyone to go to a comic store. If you're ever in San Francisco, go hit up Isotope. Very different than your typical store. It's more of a kind of boutique-y type shop. They have a boutique shop. They have lots of stuff that's not, I mean, it's not comics. Let me totally rephrase this. I totally fucked this all up. Of course, it's only comics. That's all they do. It's comics to trades. There's no toys. There's no cards. There's no back issues. There's no manga. It's basically just American comics. And it's set up in a a very different type of feel than your regular comic store. They do lots of parties, open bar, tons of like pub crawls, and they do all sorts of cool stuff. And they have some of the best creators have come around to do signings there. Jeff Johns, Grant Morrison.
Were you there for the Grant Morrison one?
Yes, I was.
Oh, nice.
As I was leaving, Joe Quesada and his posse roll up right as I was walking out. They've had Brian K. Vaughan there, Ed Brubaker. They've had a ton of great artists. This week, for WonderCon, they had Frank Quietly, who's the artist on All-Star Superman. He did some Invisibles. He's We 3 with a lot of books with Grant Morrison. And
New X-Men
with Grant Morrison as well. And I'm not an art guy at the end of the day. I'm there more for the story. I usually, if the art's serviceable, I'm okay with it. If it's awesome, great, excellent, that's fantastic. But if it's just sort of like whatever, the art's whatever, I'm fine with it. Frank Quietly is one of my very, very few exceptions, though. Frank Quietly is, for my money, one of the best artists in the industry. He's amazing. His style is just... It's very European. I mean, he's Scottish, so that makes sense. It's very unlike a lot of the stuff you see here.
Excuse me. When I look at Frank Quietly's work, I view his work as kind of a realistic Sin City Miller in color. Like he has the bulkiness and the kind of, but where Frank Miller goes with sharp, direct lines.
Okay.
Quietly goes with the curved lines. Like, faces are very.
I see. I understand what you mean. No, he does. Frank Quietly does draw his guys. He does draw characters pretty bulky. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think his art looks weird, but it's. Frank Miller does draw a big guy, so and he's pretty similar. Frank Quietly is pretty similar.
Well, that's what I think. I mean, whenever I see his work, I see it kind of. It looks like one of his influences is Frank Miller, but again, Frank puts his own, but with Frank's, I guess, quietly puts his own spin on it, which is there's curves like facial hair. I mean, he has the scruff on the face, and it's like his women are they're women, but his men are men. It's like where Miller was very direct using white and black.
Right.
Quietly uses more of the mid-tones, and he accomplishes a lot in kind of a fierce. It's very fierce in my opinion. Fierce.
Okay, Tyra Max.
I'm gonna smack you.
That's fierce.
Hold on.
Yeah, he has lots of lines where other artists wouldn't have lines.
Yeah.
I think is where you're trying. It's kind of one of the things you're trying to say. He definitely has a very unique style. Very unique to the U.S. market, at least. I see a lot of influences from a lot of the European artists and Mobius and Jodorowsky. I probably butchered that name and never heard how to pronounce that guy. A lot of the humanoid books, Metabarons, things like that. But yeah, I mean, his art. Getting back on the subject, I mean, it's just incredible, and he was there doing a signing and actually selling some of his original art as well.
And the fanboy you were?
And I don't buy original art. I bought some original art. I couldn't help myself. It was the day before my birthday. I was like, we're having a sale in a couple of weeks at the store.
I can splurge.
I'm like, well, no, not splurge, but I'm like, this is my literal one and only chance, because who the hell knows? I mean, to the best of my knowledge, it's the first time he's been to the States, at least for a signing. And for a con.
Well, which is funny, because if you had known, I would have suggested you take the poster.
I was thinking about it. We have a signed poster of All-Star Superman #1 signed by Grant Morrison here, and I thought about it, but it would have to disassemble the frame.
Okay, but hold on. I know you're going, I got to disassemble the frame. I got to put it back together. My girlfriend works at Aaron Brothers, and she could do this easily for me. Oh, it's so time consuming.
Yeah, I still have to do it. So I decided to buy an original page of art after anyway. So
well, yeah. I mean, your original art collection consists of a lot of New Warriors art, right?
I have 2 pages of New Warriors.
2 pages of New Warriors.
And that's it.
And that's it. And now Frank, quietly.
Yeah.
From what?
Huh?
From what?
All-Star Superman.
Number?
Issue 11, page 4.
Oh, nice.
He's hosing off the... Hosing off the Sun Eaters.
Nice.
Cage.
You're blowing and you're hosing.
Yes.
At some point in time, you're going to jizz in your pants.
I might have that night.
Oh, you did?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, Frank Wiley is such an amazing artist. He's super nice, too. Super, super nice guy. Just the line. And I heard from James Sim, the owner. He posted on Twitter owner of Isotope. He said something like, he's there till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning signing autographs and stuff like that. So, yeah, just great guy. And then I died. That night, I think that was when I died. So I had to wear my Black Lantern T-shirt on Sunday because, boy, I was beat.
You know what's funny?
I'm beat now.
I couldn't really tell Sunday, but of course you had probably taken some weird concoction drug in the morning to get yourself enough energy that when I saw you on Sunday morning and you gave me my pass, you were like wired, and then you're like blah, 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 and gone, and I was like, okay, thanks for the.
I mean, it was only a handful of hours of sleep, cold medicine, coffee, cough syrup. Just you
need the superhero's NyQuil. Man.
Oh God, just everything. I'm still feeling like garbage. So pardon me if my voice is a little off or if my energy's a little off this week. But con flu. And Sunday was just hanging out and seeing stuff and hitting up a few more panels. I just did a lot of my buying on Sunday. Picked up a few little plushies and I like some little plush figures and picked up a handful of T-shirts and went to a couple of DC panels. But again, it was the same things and that same stoned Asian guy who asked about dumb questions but we did go to talk about
Paul Levitz
earlier. I did go to a panel with him hosted by Mark Evanier, who was an assistant to Jack Kirby, who's a very famous Marvel and DC artist. He's written a lot of books. He's a pretty funny guy. They're both old school guys, so they were talking about kind of how he got into the industry, all the different things about what he did to sort of work. He was a kid when he started, literally a kid. He was like 14 years old when he started working and helping out around the office, and eventually 17, 18 kind of got really hired at DC Comics. And, it was something that would never happen today. Yeah. It was like when I was talking last week about how I got into the comic industry, working at the store. I was like 12 years old working at the store, and that was in the early 90s, but now it's unthinkable. Literally a different time. Mm-hmm. And it's not even that long ago.
The simpler times.
Yeah, but really interesting stuff, and most people were there for the characters, but it was kind of a little depressing. It was in a really small room, and there was only a handful of people there. And Paul Levitz is just one of the absolute greats of the industry. He, longtime editor and president and publisher of DC Comics. Because of him, I would think there are people out there that would probably say, if it wasn't for Paul Levitz, we may not have comics the way comics may not quite exist today the way they do.
Well, when I talked to him briefly, there was really nobody standing in line to get signed.
Yeah,
and it was and I only talked to him for a few minutes, and I told him I worked at a comic store in Sunnyvale, and he's like, "Oh man, Sunnyvale, I haven't been there in since Atari was out," and I'm like, "Well, my dad used to make the hardware systems." He said, "Well, thank your dad for making those for me because I like those."
Nice.
But seemed a really nice guy. I asked for a picture. He's like, "I don't draw. I'm a writer." I'm like, "No, a picture with me." And he's like, "Oh, okay." But no, really nice guy.
Yep.
So, I don't know, maybe a potential guest.
Oh,
if we're diligent enough.
He's East Coast.
Huh?
He's East Coast. East Coast, West Coast.
He was on the West Coast this weekend.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, whatever.
See what happens.
According to Louis C. Clark, you can, you get on a plane, you eat something, you take a dump, you watch a movie, you're home. Right?
Okay.
So
I guess that works.
Anyway.
But yeah, that's WonderCon. I'm exhausted. I'm ready to go to bed now. I edit this dumb podcast to go to bed.
I think at a comic book convention, for those of you who are into comics but not into comics, go, get the experience.
Oh, there's like smaller conventions, and if you're really into comics, That's where you're going to find a lot of stuff you want. You find some deals, some people. But at these big conventions, no, absolutely that's the place to go. If you're only a little into comics,
well, yeah,
you're going to be exposed to so much stuff, all the different panels.
But watch the flip side of that, because you're exposed to too much stuff, your brain will fry.
People can handle it. I mean, there's so many panels. Oh, one thing I'm going to talk about Sunday real quick. I should probably talk about this in the Geek Box when we record tomorrow night for this week's episode. But to the Doctor Who panel with Neil Gaiman,
yes,
Sunday morning. Completely forgot to mention this. Be brief. I mean, I'm nowhere near caught up on Doctor Who, but it was a great panel. Neil Gaiman is just one of the absolute greats in the industry. I've seen him not a dozen times, probably about 8 times. Panel, signings, panels, autographs. Listen to him talk. I could listen to this man talk forever. If I had, people say, "Oh, you want like a soundtrack of your life?" The soundtrack to my life would be Neil Gaiman talking to me. I mean, he has one of the greatest voices I think in the history of the world, and I can listen to this guy talk forever.
Well, he's one of the true storytellers.
Yeah.
He can write a story and he can speak a story, and that's a talent that a lot of people don't have anymore.
Talking about episodes on specific subjects, there will be a Neil Gaiman episode at some point in our future. Mm-hmm. We will have to do this. Brock's a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
Well, I wore a Sandman shirt to the con.
Excellent.
So today I'm wearing the WonderCon shirt.
Excellent. We'll do this. I am actually wearing the White Lantern T-shirt today that I promised I would. I am not alive, but I am here. So
you're present and accounted for.
Yeah. No, that's WonderCon. Yeah. Next week we'll kind of get back to a little regular, quote unquote regular schedule.
Yeah. Well, figuring out whatever you're supposed. Anything new? Any news this week? Any information that doesn't stem from WonderCon? They changed Wonder Woman's costume.
I don't even care if there was any news. I haven't even looked.
Oh, yeah. They changed Wonder Woman's costume.
Yeah. So they added those red boots and stuff like that.
Well, no, they reduced the brightness of it.
Yeah, well, they changed her pant legs. They added the boot. They added the red boots and stuff. We'll have plenty of time to talk Wonder Woman's costume later. I'm going to go pass out.
No, you can't pass out.
I could edit this podcast. And
I know you have to edit this podcast, but random comic.
Yes. So me and Brock decided that it would be good to just every week recommend a random comic. Now, we have our picks of the weeks from the regular comics that come out. But this time, said, hey, let's just recommend a random comic for people to read. Totally not even plan it, so I'm going to let Brock go first since I haven't planned a single thing. I'll let him choose one first.
But it's not planned. It's not planned.
Exactly. Let's look at our wall and pick a comic. Brock,
okay.
Go.
Let's do Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis is a fun title.
Written by Jeff Johns, Phil Jimenez.
Yeah.
Did he write on it, or did he do art?
No, Phil Jimenez is the artist, along with George Perez.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people, because the book was running so late, unfortunately, a lot of people drew it to get it out somewhat on time.
Awesome book. I really recommend it.
Infinite Crisis is one of DC's big crossover books back out. It was 2005.
Very dark.
If I remember correctly.
Very dark.
Yeah, they're all dark.
So.
It's a sequel of sorts to the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was DC's first big major story arc.
But it combines a little bit from Identity Crisis as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's the second of the modern Crisis series. Man, talk about future episodes. There's another one from Identity Crisis to Final Crisis. That's a good run of DC books there.
Yeah.
We'll talk that
sometime. But, Infinite Crisis. Pick it up. Check it out. I really enjoyed reading it. I haven't read it in a long time, but I'll probably go back to reading it when we do a Crisis episode.
Cool.
And you're random.
I'm going to recommend 2 things, and they're not actually just specific comics, but they're lines of comics, and maybe we'll choose something specific in the future. But I always tell people to check them out, and a lot of people don't like them because they're in black and white. But check out the Marvel Essentials and the DC Showcase lines. They're $15-20 a piece. They're hundreds of pages long, usually 400 or 500 pages. They're just straight black and white reprints of a lot of classic Silver Age and Bronze Age Marvel and DC comics, published on real crappy paper. But you know what? It's 400 pages for $20. It is physically the best deal in all of comic books. Just buy these, read them. The art's still awesome. Well, check out, if you're like, hey, I like Spider-Man, are you going to buy hardcover reprints or back issues of Spider-Man 1 through 150? No, but for like $50 or $100, you can buy 10 volumes of Amazing Spider-Man and just go through and blow through these books and just to read them, get the stories. They're really cool.
Because Spider-Man's up to, looks like volume 9.
Yeah.
Which goes up to issue 210.
There you go. Beautiful.
I mean,
that's huge.
I mean,
the books
10 volumes?
They are a phone book. I mean, these books look like a phone book.
Yeah, I could beat you with this.
And don't let the black and white art scare you away just because it's a color. Man, the only time I think I've ever really seen that happen, that it really affected the story, was something like Green Lantern, where they're like, that thing hurt me because it's yellow. It's like, well, it's black and white.
Well, yeah.
But overall, I mean, I've never had a problem reading these things black and white. I got a handful of them. I love them.
Yeah, I'm working on the Green Lantern one. I did the Batman and the Outsiders one.
Well, and because they're so cheap, they're pretty disposable. If you get beat up, if you lose them, if you draw on them.
Let your kids ink them in for you.
Like, whatever. Like, these books are awesome, and I really hope people pick them up.
All right, Sniffles.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I'm dying here. We're going to finish this podcast, and I'm going to go to bed.
No, you're going to edit and then go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, we've also been given the go-ahead to make these podcasts a little bit longer, so we're actually clocked in just over an hour right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
because we did get a slight complaint that it was a little too short.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure, I guess. I mean, the original aim was about 45 minutes. A lot of it had to do with the upload content size of the podcast directories and all that, but we changed some stuff around, and now we're pretty much hour and a half is probably about our cap, about double what we originally thought we were going to be able to do. So, we're not going to pad out an episode just to pad it out, or we'll run whatever random length we run. Yeah. But I think probably about an hour is about how long we'll run normally, which is it's about the same run as the time as Geekbox does, around the same, a little bit shorter. But yeah, we'll see what happens. If you guys like this episode, feel free to go on iTunes, review us. We were number 10 on the search for comic books as of just before recording this episode, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. In the visual arts category, which all the comic book podcasts are, we were number 3. Like, that's insane. That's insanely high.
Well, it's all thanks to you guys for listening.
Yeah, everyone that listens to this episode rocks. And I hope we don't totally take a nosedive after everyone who listened to episode 1. It was like, that sucked. So hopefully a few people come back for this episode. But let us know what you think. Email again is thecomicconspiracy@geekbox.net. Geekbox.net. You can go to the Geekbox website and listen to this episode, previous episodes, and the Geekbox at www.geekbox.net. Go on forums.geekbox.net, talk about this episode, go chat with all our forum people, give the little comic forum a little love. Mm-hmm. Been a little quiet in there. Listen to other episodes of the Geekbox, starring me and occasionally Brock.
Yeah.
Generally every Wednesday. So this podcast will go up hopefully tonight. I think that'll do it. Brock, you got any last words?
Any last words? Famous last words?
There is actually another book I'm going to plug, but I want to talk about this book next week after the book is out. Man, you know what? I really should talk about this book now because it comes out this Wednesday and it's going to sell out. So I'll tell you what. Everyone, there's a book on Image this week called Non-Player by Nate Simpson. It's an Image title. Go buy this book. You will thank me. I'll tell you why next week. Seriously, go buy this book.
So wait, do I have to buy it too?
It's already sold out. Image is already sold out. They have.
Do I have to buy this book too?
You are buying this book. You're buying this book on Wednesday.
Well, I forgot. For people listening, I will have at least my list for titles that I picked up on my blog, so you can check that out.
What's your blog? What's your blog, Brock?
My blog it's way too long right now to mention. If you really want to go find it, go Google Brock Sager, and then
if they go on the Geekbox,
forums, then they look up my name. It's in there.
Is it in your signature?
It's in my signature. Yeah.
Okay. You know what you should do? You should have a shorter blog name.
No.
I mean,
not for you.
You can make like brocksblog.blogspot.
No, I'm good. I have my blog.
Okay.
It's stuck from college. It's going to stick whether you like it or not.
Oh, so it's some snooty, pompous college blog.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
right.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. Well, yes, Non-player Nate Simpson. Remember to buy
Non-player
this
Nate
book.
Simpson.
We'll
Now
talk
I
about
have
this.
12 books to get this week.
We'll talk about this book next week. And,
we will?
we
Mr.
will.
doesn't read anything?
This I'm reading, and we will talk about this book next week.
Okay.
And that will do it. Thanks again for listening.
Thank you, guys.
We'll see you. Well, we will not see you.
We'll have our voices heard again in 4 days on Friday.
You will hear us next week.